And China and the Philippines are locked in yet another diplomatic showdown.
And this time, Beijing has announced sanctions against Philippine Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro. And the move comes amid worsening tensions in the South China Sea, where both sides have repeatedly clashed over competing territorial claims.
China has turned up the heat on the Philippines in a sharp diplomatic move, imposing sanctions on Philippine Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro, accusing him of making what it called erroneous remarks that harmed China's interests and damaged bilateral ties. The sanctions don't stop with Teodoro.
China has also barred his wife and child from entering mainland China, Hong Kong and Macau. Chinese companies and organizations have been instructed not to engage in any business, cooperation or transactions with them. Beijing says the measures are necessary to protect its sovereignty, security and development interests. However, it did not specify exactly which comments triggered the action.
The announcement comes against the backdrop of growing friction in the South China Sea. Teodoro has been one of Manila's most outspoken voices against China's actions in the disputed waters. Now, just days ago, he said that countries like the Philippines had no choice but to stand up against what he described as Chinese aggression. The Philippines and China have repeatedly confronted each other in contested areas of the South China Sea, where Beijing claims vast stretches of territory despite an international arbitration ruling rejecting those claims, and tensions remain high.
Now, earlier this week, Manila launched a diplomatic protest over what it called the illegal presence of a Chinese floating structure in disputed waters, and both sides digging in and rhetoric hardening. His latest sanctions move adds a fresh diplomatic front to an already tense regional rivalry. The Philippine Coast Guard officials say that the structure appears to be a movable platform and has been deployed by Chinese research vessels operating in the area.
While China has neither confirmed nor denied responsibility for the structure. However, Beijing has reiterated that its indisputable sovereignty over Scarborough Shoal. China maintains that its activities there are legitimate and only for scientific purposes.
The development is important because Scarborough Shoal is a long-standing dispute between the two nations. The triangular reef is surrounded by rich fishing grounds. It lies about 200 kilometers off the Philippine island of Luzon. China has maintained de facto control of the shoal since 2012. Now, last year, China had also announced the creation of a national nature reserve at Scarborough Shoal. The Philippine officials then warned that it was an eventual occupation of the area. And now, with the appearance of this new floating platform, can spark further escalation. Scarborough Shoal itself holds significant strategic value. It sits close to major shipping lanes. It contains abundant fish stocks and features a turquoise lagoon that offers shelter to vessels during storms.